It is obviously very strange to be speaking to you from my normal place in the Riggs Quad, but in what are far from normal circumstances. This term has certainly been very unusual indeed, and I would just like to pay tribute to the hard work of the pupils and staff who've made such a success of the remote learning programme. For anyone to find the energy and enthusiasm and motivation to continue over 9 weeks would be a challenge. But to think that these teenagers have adapted to, and in some cases thrived in this environment, is testament to their hard work and commitment. Of course, we have missed out on so many of the things that make school special this term. The formal events, like the Leavers Dinner, sports fixtures and house competitions, speech day and the house play, which was planned for the end of last term. But perhaps more importantly, we've missed out on the informal experiences of being together in school, sitting with friends at lunch, playing yard cricket together, or spending time with an ice lolly chatting outside the grot shop while watching the first 11. Speaking to the boys over the last week, I know this has been one of the things that they've missed the most. But while this term might be described by some as a lost term, I think that would miss so much of what the pupils have learnt during this period. For many, they've learnt about self-reliance, organisation and discipline, and they will have grown as people, developing new skills of communication and in remote learning. Hopefully we've helped, and they have appreciated the lessons and activities, tutorials and my daily blog, which may have given them a sense of routine and purpose over the last few weeks. So I'd just like to take this moment to thank the boys for their positive engagement, not just in the last term, but across the whole year. Thinking of the whole year, there have been some highlights from the days when we took normality for granted. All the way back in the Michaelmas term, we should remember that the Riggs A team smashed the school record with an amazing total of 82 points from the top 8 counters in the tucks, with the second team doing incredibly well too, and even beating some other houses' A teams. On the same day in the evening, we had the house singing competition, of course, which is my favourite event of the year. The one time when the whole house is together on stage, competing as one. The boys gave a rousing performance of Escape by Rupert Holmes and secured the entertainment prize. In the part song, our singers were also recognised by the judges for their fabulous rendition of Don't Worry, Be Happy. The house curry, the week after we came back from Exeat, was a great way to celebrate those achievements and to cement the feeling of togetherness that we have in the house. Later on in the term, we enjoyed an excellent run in the first house football competition. We were unfancied underdogs in the quarter-final against Schoolhouse, but played with characteristic grit and determination to edge the contest 2-1. In the semi-final, the boys worked terrifically hard against a talented Radbrook team and earned a deserved 1-0 win to take us through to the final. It was desperately sad that we weren't able to field a full-strength team for the final against a very strong Port Hill, but the boys pulled on their Riggs shirts and gave it their best shot. They really did the house proud that afternoon, and even though they were well beaten, indeed, the commitment of the boys throughout the competition was only matched by the passion of the supporters on the touchline. Still, we all wonder what it would have been had we been able to field a full-strength team. Never mind. As a house, we consoled ourselves with a victory in the paper chasers at the end of term, regaining the trophy we lost to Churchill's last year. Through the Michaelmas and Lent terms, the debating competitions took place, and it was great to see so many of the boys getting out of their comfort zones and representing the house in these contests. In fact, the seniors were masterful in the early stages, winning all of their pool debates, and were unlucky to narrowly lose out in the first knockout round. Towards the end of the truncated Lent term, Riggs again picked up some silverware in the steeplechasers, where our A team must have smashed the school record time, with 2 of the 5 members of the team equaling the individual lap record, and all the other members of the team within a minute of it. It was another example of Riggs' dominance in running, which we'll hope to maintain over the years to come. We've obviously missed out on lots of the competitions that help to make the summer term what it is. The cricket, the tennis, the athletics and the rowing, to name but a few. The school site has seemed eerily quiet without the buzz of the summer term going on around it. But now's the time to start looking forward to next term when we'll all be back together again. We have 16 new entrants joining the house community in September, and we will be back in Riggs for the year as the refurbishment plan has been put on hold. After what will have been 6 months away from the house, and with so many new entrants joining the community, it's a great opportunity for us to refocus on what makes Riggs such a special place. My vision for the house has always been of a friendly and supportive community where the boys are kind to each other and take an interest in the people around them. So I will be asking the boys to renew those values as they return to school. I've spent some time with them over the last week thinking about how their roles in the house change next year as they move into different year groups. The third formers will be moving into the fourth form, with the responsibility for inducting the new entrants in their year and looking after boys in the year below. The fourth form become fifth formers, and while this is an important year for their GCSEs, it's also a year which has underestimated influence on the house. The fifth formers become sixth formers, taking on new responsibilities and developing their ability to lead the house by example, while the lower sixth become the leaders of the community, taking charge of the verts groups and the year groups, as well as leading the house in various competitions and events. But every boy in the house helps to shape the Riggs culture. Each of them has a responsibility to live up to the values that we hold dear in our community. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the house go from strength to strength when we return in September. At the end of each year in Riggs, we award a prize to the fifth former who exemplifies the values we want to promote within the house: kindness, generosity of spirit, and a willingness to do their best for the house. The Forster Hibbert Prize is voted for by members of the fifth form and the sixth form and the house staff, and this year it's awarded to Seb Price. Well done, Seb. And now I'd like to turn my attention to our outgoing year group, our upper sixth leavers. In the way I've just described, our upper sixth formers have been setting the example for the house to follow this year, and they have been great role models for the other boys. As individuals, they're talented and engaged with school life, and within the house community, they show huge passion and commitment to Riggs. I'd like to say a particular thank you to our outgoing upper sixth formers for helping to make the first year of the verts competition a success, and for encouraging the spirit of enthusiastic support for every house event that has taken place this year. It's the little things that make a big difference to the sense of togetherness in the house and the feeling of being part of a team. Simply being on the touchline at a house league match or watching a junior debate creates a sense of pride in what we do and gives meaning to those wearing the house colours. And these boys have kept that pride alive through the way they have led the house this year. I'd like to say a particular thanks to our head of house, Alex, who's done a truly fantastic job of leading the Riggs community. He's shown care and patience in the way he's dealt with the younger boys, and he's always seemed to be happy, which rubs off on everyone around him. Thank you, Alex, for your positive example and the time that you've given so freely to lead the house community. I'll hand over to Alex now to allow him the opportunity to say a few words of thanks and to announce the positions of responsibility in Riggs for next year.
Obviously, it's not ideal that we're having to do this in remote, but I think nevertheless it's very important that on behalf of all the boys, but especially the upper sixth, we thank all of those staff who make our lives here so much easier and make the running of the house so much smoother. So firstly, the cleaning staff, that's Nikki, Leanne, Shirley, Jane and Avril. I would just like to say a massive thank you to all you for all the work you do behind the scenes It's not easy cleaning up after 60-odd boys all day, every day, who are causing messes the whole time. So thank you so much for all the work you do there. Without you, the house really would be a tip. So thank you. To Miss Boville, who I'm sure you all know through her chivying emails before coach weekends, but she really is the best in the business when it comes to getting us up in the morning and making sure we're wearing the right uniform, the right shoes. I've been picked out on that a lot, but seriously, thank you so much, Miss Boville, for all the work you do as well behind the scenes, arranging how we're going to get home, making sure we're going to get home safely. But you know, it's so nice to have you around on a Friday and Thursday night. Maybe not in the morning, but certainly during the day. So thank you very much for all the work you do. Matron, it obviously goes without saying, Matron is absolutely vital in the running of the house. You know, she's always taking us off at lunch, or supporting us from the side of a football pitch, or taking us to a doctor's appointment. You know, the list goes on with Matron. She is everywhere, and she's such a vital part of the house to all of us, and all the work she does is so important. You know, without her, we'd be walking around with torn shirts and ripped up trousers. So thank you so much, Matron, for all of the work you do all day, every day. To all the tutors, they are hugely important when it comes to the evenings during top schools, making us work. I'm certain that without them, I would have done far less work than I already do. So we thank you for that, but also for, you know, arranging all the trips that we go on, and taking your tutees out for meals. So, you know, thank you so much for all of that, and a big thanks to Mr. Fraser Andrews as well, who has arranged all the Verts competitions this term, which well, actually this year, which have been a big success in my opinion, and I think the boys have had a lot of fun doing them. Now on to Mrs. Barrett, who I'm not sure how she's not gone insane from living one wall away from 60 boys, but thank you so much for always being there, and for helping us set up when it's a kind of big house meal, and helping us cook and get all that sorted out. So thank you very much for all the work you do as well. And obviously to Mr. Barrett for his well, not contribution, but his running of the house. You know, he keeps us all in check every day. He never really has a night off, even when it's his night off. So we thank you for all the work you've done for all of us. And I'm not sure we'll ever fully appreciate that, because you know, we're teenage boys, and it's your job to keep us in check. But really, thank you so much for keeping us in check and making sure we're not getting into too much trouble, and kind of running our school life for us. So thank you so much for that, sir. Now on to the announcements. Mr. Winkley's not announcing the heads of school and deputy heads of school until speech day on Saturday. So I'm just going to announce the boys who've got leadership roles within the house, but not which roles they've got. So the 4 boys who will be leading the house next year are George Ludlam, Henry Bateson, Oscar Hamilton Russell, and Oliver Taylor. So well done to all of those.
Thank you very much to Alex for those kind words. I'd like to add my own thanks to Mr. Fraser Andrews, who's been our assistant housemaster in Riggs this year, and who has quickly established himself as a popular figure in the house community. He's done a huge amount to develop the Verts initiative, and without his able support, I wouldn't be able to enjoy the occasional nights or weekends off. So my grateful thanks go to him. I should also mention Mrs. Barrett at this point, and offer my thanks to her for patiently putting up with my absences and sometimes ridiculous working hours. And finally, I'd like to thank you, the parents. Thank you for letting us borrow your sons for the first 2 terms this year. I imagine that you're ready to lend them out again now that you've had them home for the last 3 months. It's a great privilege to be able to work with the boys and to see them grow and flourish while they're at school. So thank you for that opportunity. And also, thank you for your support and goodwill, which has been abundantly evident, especially during the last few months in lockdown. I look forward to more normality next term, and with luck, I hope that in the meantime, you will keep well and enjoy a peaceful and relaxing summer.